Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Gary A. Swaby, and we are here for the finale of Raising Kanan Season 1. This was episode 10, of course, of Raising Kanan, and the episode was called Paid in Full, which is the title of both a classic hip hop song and a classic movie, also. I'm here with Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. How are you doing, Richard?
Doing good, Gary. What's up, listeners and viewers?
What's up, indeed? And we are also here with Miss Dana Abercrombie. How are you, Dana?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing okay.
Good, good. We all watched the finale, and all of you lovely people listening or watching, you most likely just saw it too. There's a lot to talk about here. It was a very interesting episode. They kept like the tension and the suspense flowing throughout the whole thing. It put a lot of great emphasis on what Kanan did at the end of last week's episode. Very well done, but it leaves us with a lot to discuss now. So we're going to go ahead and get into our takeaways. And then, we'll get to the questions segment where we're going to kind of like dissect everything and predict what might happen in the next season. And then, we also have some minor news topics as well to go over, just some things going into, season 2. That's pretty much it. So this week we're gonna go with Dana first on the takeaways section. So Dana, take it away with your takeaways.
Take away with my takeaways. What's the takeaway? Okay, so first of all, as you said, the episode is called Paid in Full. We do know that is based on a album and also on a successful movie. And an interesting point is that there are two characters, both named Lulu. So I like how we shared that as well. With this episode, I kind of was more like a lot of theories that I got. What we know from the previous episode is that Howard was shot by Kanan, and it was framed. He framed him for Kanan. Frame was the set. The goal was from Raquel to frame Unique for the murder of Howard Stark, but we all know that it was Kanan who actually shot him. Like I said, but before when he shot him, he only did it one in the chest. What was it? Two in the chest and none in the head. When it paid specific instructions to do two in the chest and one in the head. And he, being what he was, he just thought that, a gunshot is a gunshot. I saw him bleed out. I'm going to be assured that he's dead. He's not dead, as we all come to find out. So that, I believe, is going to be something that will haunt the family going forward. And I think that this could actually give more leverage to the Howard character because remember he still needs that bone marrow. If he lives throughout all of this, remember he needs to take out piece of his lung, his spleen, his liver, and then he has the cancer. So even if he makes it through more than one episode of season 2, I believe he's going to try to use this as leverage in order to still get that bone marrow. He may be dead before then, but that's what could happen. There's a part where Scrap. Remember, Scrap was the guy who got his eye kind of taken out, and he was wearing the eye patch. It was really interesting that Kanan kind of praised Scrap, and one of the things that Scrap said to Kanan in return was to basically, you're a soldier and you're all on your own now, which I think is going to be very important when it comes into season 2, because what we already know is that Kanan is now going to be in Maryland, and we don't know how much his mother's influence or guidance is going to be there. From how it ended, it seemed that she is going to be staying in New York City, in Queens, overseeing kind of the destruction that she put in place so that she can be the queen on top. We had it end with her just sitting on the rooftop, kind of like soaking in everything that she kind of created, and now realizing that she can run everything because Unique and his crew is going to be down. I wonder if this is going to create some kind of drug war between both of them. I wonder how long we all know Unique is probably done for with the show when you kill a cop or when you're framed for killing a cop, you're going to get life behind that. They come very strongly when it's after their own. So that was very interesting with that, those final words that Scrap gave to him, which I think, at the very end, there was that, what do you call it? The monologue that 50 Cent does as Kanan to say, you can't even trust your own mother. Trust no one is basically the number one rules, not even your own mama. So when he goes to Maryland, this could be a whole new life for him and a whole new way of taking what he learned from Raquel and his experiences with Marvin and Lulu and everything else and take that to kind of start up and run Maryland. So that is something that I'm also looking forward to as well with that. Another point is they have a new captain who is Luis Baptiste, who runs the 117th precinct. And his goal, he said, was to be a more stronger force than what the previous captain would be. And I want to know how that ends up intersecting with what Raquel is going to do and what Raquel is able to get away with this time. So she may think that, oh, I can run everything. I'm the queen of everything. Everyone, I got rid of. But we don't know how this captain will come into play. And I think that they played a specific part by putting him in there. And I feel that they announced it for a reason, not just to say, hey, this is what could happen in season 2, but this is what Raquel should be wary about, is this new captain. Lastly, the part when Howard got shot and he needed the blood, which was AB, I think was AB negative or just straight AB. I have a feeling that the police, I cannot remember Howard's partner's name for the God in me. I cannot remember her, but I feel that she somehow was going to take that information and probably be more nosy. Because remember when, what was it? Kanan got arrested in the previous season and they was taking down all the intake and Howard was doing all the math. And remember with the bone marrow? I wonder if that is going to be another layer that she uncovers because she seems to be the type of person who is extremely nosy. So I wonder how that is going to play into everything. Another thing that I really loved was the Spanish girl from the bodega, how she ended up playing a larger part overall. Remember how we just kind of thought, oh, it was the abusive husband, and what can she do in return? Probably use the spot to keep more drugs in. And in fact, she framed it. It was framed so that she would be the big witness to say that this is unique and look at his jacket and have the video on footage to really secure in the downfall of Unique. So I like how she played the much larger role in the picture. Another thing really quickly was we saw that famous song was being played on the radio. And then in return of that, was it Lulu or Marvin? I get those two confused.
Lulu.
Lulu, because he's shot, he's wheezing, he's still walking around with no lungs. He really wants out of this. And he also alluded to that in previous interviews that he did, where he was like, we don't know how long he's going to be in this life. He wants to get out of this whole drug dealing thing and to go fully with the music. And the fact that the song was being played kind of gave him that inspiration until Raquel shot it down. So I see this being another showdown between brother and sister. And I wonder how Marvin ends up playing a part into that as well. Because Marvin seems to be also on more of the side of Raquel. Everything that he's did, she wants to get back in. We know about that drug past. We know about, for me, it seemed like Marvin can't do things by himself. He'll end up screwing it up, and that could easily lead to him relapsing. So Marvin, I feel he needs Raquel way more than Lulu needs Raquel. So it really comes into terms of how this showdown is going to play out. Because, Marvin just wants to get out. And Raquel is like, no, you can't get out because technically I own you. All the money that we made, I own and we created. So I look forward to knowing what that fractured relationship is going to be and how Marvin is going to come into play. I do strongly think that he is going to take the side of Raquel just because he needs her more. Another thing also was that the police raid was really interesting, and I loved how they played that. This is something that's always been done, especially to people who live in the projects, especially to black and brown people. We even see it today. Well, this they just come in and raid your house without any warrant, without any reason, just of suspicion. And I really liked how they still depicted that and kind of showed the honesty and the truth of that. I called my mama and was like, "Was that true? What they did?" And she was like, "Yes, that's very true." So I like how they laid in that layer of realism as well with that. But it was really interesting if you looked at the contraption that they made in the cabinets. It was kind of like those old fashioned, remember those old fashioned laundry chutes that you would see like in the 1800s or whatever, especially in the UK where you're from, in England, where Molly the maid was doing clothes or something and it would just come down from the chute. So I really like how they created that to kind of transport the drugs from one apartment to the next apartment, which I'm going to assume they're going to use those drugs now to be the number one supplier in that neighborhood, or probably of all of Queens, because Unique is gone from his, and his kind of his soldiers are all spared about. Remember, he told them to go home, lay low. I wonder what's going to happen now that Unique is gone. I don't know who his second in command is. Does anyone know? No?
Is it Worrell?
Unique, his second in
Yeah,
command.
yeah. Like, is it that guy Worrell? Maybe he's the
Yeah,
second in.
I don't know because I wondered because he was like, get the word out, tell him to go home. I don't know, but I wonder who is gonna be that, and if that would create an inner war within itself of I'm now the king. So I don't, it is power for a reason, and everyone's looking for power. Um, yeah. So overall, I just have to say that this was really great. I love even how they shot this. I love when Unique realized the jacket and when he saw the jacket again and it was covered in blood and then the police came in. How they did kind of like that Spike Lee. If you ever watch Spike Lee movies, how they kind of do with the track and how they zoom in. It's not like it feels like the character is just walking and you're walking with him, and that whole room kind of just everything is in slow motion, and the police kind of come in. I really liked how they did that tracking scene. I thought that was really great, and you kind of see like the walls are closing in on Unique and how he figured it out, but he figured it out way too late. I think if he would have never returned home, I'm not going to say it would have worked out better, but at least he could have escaped. Maybe it would have given him a chance. So I thought that part was interesting. I don't know what the part was like bringing the girl and he was going to bring his girl and his daughter with him. And I don't know why he would do that. But
Son.
his son.
Yeah.
Oh, it was his son. Sorry. I don't know why he
Mhm.
would do that. And it was really interesting that Symphony still cares. And I think it's a genuine care. Because Symphony was the one to pick up Kanan and to pick up Jukebox and to be like, look, you know, this we gotta go. And she called him and like, I know this is the last time you want to hear from me. I'm the last person you want to see. But there's still care. From his side, we know that Raquel just uses people. At this point, we got that now. From the whole, you can't even trust your own mama. She set up her son. That was terrible. So overall, that's what I have to say. I thought it was superb.
Yeah, yeah. Excellent observations there. So yeah, I'll go into my takeaways next. And yeah, a lot of these are going to be similar to your ones, but I'll try and come at it, just from a different angle, different perspective. So first of all, I just loved the way the tension and the urgency, was flowing throughout the episode. I love that they made it feel like a big deal that a police officer was shot, because it is a big deal. And I think that 50 Cent himself probably used a lot of his own experiences throughout this episode, because there was an actual documented, it was actually a murder of a police officer in Queens back in '87. And 50 he's talked about this before, and it was also shown in his movie Get Rich or Die Trying. I believe the police officer Ed Burns was shot and killed in his patrol car, and then similar things started happening in the neighborhood where the cops just raided everywhere until they found out who was responsible. So I think 50 Cent used a lot of his own, experiences as an influence for this episode, and it really shows that they went about this in a very detailed way in showing how the police responds to such a thing. When one of their own gets hit. And you saw that with the new commander, the new chief coming in and everything and overseeing the situation. And then the cops, like cop cars are just like flying all around the roads in every scene. So I love that. I love that they paid that attention to detail because it is a big deal to shoot at a police officer, even if they don't die. It's seen as like a really big deal. And the NYPD, they're like a gang essentially. So if one of their own gets hit, they're gonna come. They're not gonna stop until they find out who's responsible. So I liked that. And as far as Howard being alive, I didn't think it was realistic for him to survive just because he is sick as well. So I thought, wow, the chances of him living aren't very high, but there is a chance still. It's all about chance, and I guess in this occasion, the chances worked in his favor, and he was able to wake up. And of course, they left us hanging at the end because we didn't get to hear him speak and say, who shot him, and he didn't respond to the question. So they're obviously dangling that over our heads and making us wait until next year to find out what actually, what he says and everything. So yeah, that was a bit of a cliffhanger, in that moment, but that's interesting. And I guess if you do have Omar Epps as part of your talent, you're going to want him around maybe because he is such a, he's a significant actor, especially in our culture. So, I guess it's cool to see him, being a part of a show like this. So it's cool that we're going to, get to see him in the show for longer. But I would have liked, somebody to die at least though at the end of the season. But I guess, it was too much to ask, but yeah.
Someone did die.
Who?
It was Kanan's innocence.
Yeah, I mean, there were a few deaths like overall in the season, but it was like no one significant. So, but hey, I guess, we'll have to wait longer for that to happen. And, the whole tension between Lulu and Raquel, I liked that in this episode. Overall, I liked how, they built up the whole, like the moment at the end of Raquel where she's basically like this Joker-esque villain. Like, I like how they set that whole thing up throughout the episode. And, the tension between her and Lulu played right into it. Because, he escapes from hospital and everything. And we see that he's damaged from everything he's put into this family and this organization. But he has a dream and he wants to get out. He wants to get out of this criminal life. And, like you mentioned with the car that was playing the music, that shows that there is hope for him to be successful in the other things that he's doing. But, he keeps getting pulled back into this life. So there's that. They're showing that struggle there, that it's hard to kind of like fully escape from the life once you've been a part of it. And, I just liked how how those two played off of each other throughout the episode and everything. I think Marvin getting locked up, I think that we can blame Raquel for that because she had the knowledge that Tony was doing something wrong because Symphony told her that you can't trust Tony. So she should have like automatically thought, she's up to something and maybe we need to, get her out the way or, do something with her so that she doesn't interfere with the plan. Because Marvin's role in this episode was important. She wanted him to pick up Kanan and drive him, wherever it was. Luckily, she had Symphony to count on. But imagine if she didn't, if she didn't have Symphony, who was she going to call next? So that was a very important assignment that she gave to Marvin. So I feel like she should have, resolved the issue with Tony, so that there would be no issues at all. But maybe it slipped her mind because there is a lot going on and everything. But usually she's a lot more calculating,
She
so.
couldn't get through. Remember, his pager kept going off.
Yeah, I know, because he was getting locked up. But like I'm saying, like because last week Symphony told her that you can't trust Tony. Because she's up to something.
Hmm.
So I thought she would have calculated that in her, like, because all of this was like her grand plan. So I thought maybe she would have thought to get Tony out the way, but maybe it just kind of slipped her mind, or she thought it wasn't that big a deal or something. Um,
Or maybe she didn't do that because she wanted to get back with Symphony, and she knew that in order to do that was through Kanan.
we might be giving her too much credit with that one, but but maybe but yeah, that was interesting to see Marvin get locked up, and I love the scene where he goes into the they take him into the precinct or whatever, and he sees Tony there, and then like he says, "Oh, she'll do this and that if you give her some drugs or whatever." Like,
And
and
they
that
know.
was
I just
yeah.
wanted the whole police precinct to be like, yeah, we know.
Yeah, that was funny, and it showed that I don't think Marvin's taking this seriously, so he probably thinks he's gonna get out of this like really quickly. So, he probably doesn't think he's gonna be inside for very long.
No, but it
And
was a federal drug possession with intent to distribute. So he's going to be away for a little while.
but did they actually get drugs though? Did they find drugs?
It was a warrant.
See, here's the thing. Here's the thing. They have no evidence
Yeah,
whatsoever.
exactly.
You
I
only
don't think
have
they.
Tony talking. You only have Tony talking about this stuff. So I'm pretty sure he'll get out of that fairly quickly. And then that he can also say that she is somebody who is taking drugs. So I'll be
Yeah,
curious to see how that plays out.
yeah, because they didn't catch him with any drugs. So
No,
unless they did that, I
it
don't
was they
think
ran the warrant though.
yeah. And they're just going off of Tony's word, basically. Like it's basically a conspiracy charge, basically. And
Hmm.
conspiracy, you can work your way out of that, because you know it's just basically like she says this, he said, she said. So I think he'll get out of that pretty easy, and I'm sure Raquel will help him too. So yeah. But that was interesting. What else? Let's see. Yeah, so and just Raquel being set up as the villain, like the end boss of the season, and it's really kind of like setting up the whole dynamic of it's something that actually Dana predicted of perhaps the end goal of this show is going to be Kanan versus Raquel. Maybe that is going to be the final
You
battle
got
kind
to
of
take
thing.
her out.
So.
It's like Shakespearean and things. It's the tragedy of the Canans, the Starks.
Mhm. Yeah, and I guess if that happens, Kanan, that will be how Kanan does get his reputation with Ghost and Tommy. The fact that he took out this criminal mastermind, like, because Raquel is the criminal mastermind. She outsmarted Unique. She beat him at this chess game. So yeah, like she's the big boss basically. And Unique. Um, Yeah, I feel like he was like playing straight defense in this episode. Like I think he's been playing defense the past few episodes. He hasn't really done anything that offensive except what he did to Lulu. But like he hasn't really done he hasn't made any like forceful moves or anything. He's just been kind of sitting around, like letting these things happen to him a little bit. He
Hmm.
hasn't been too active. And yeah, like I mean, as soon as he went into the apartment and got to the lobby and he saw that door open and close, which was Marvin leaving, I feel like his suspicion should have been up. He should have left right away with his family and separated and stuff. Like he should have had better plans than just going home and waiting it out. I think because he knows that Raquel is like he instantly he knew that, you know, when his guys told him that people think it might be Unique who shot the officer, instantly at that moment his mind should have been like, I'm getting out of town, like right away. Like he shouldn't have went home. He should have like made a call to get his family sent away or something. Like, but yeah, just the fact that he went home, he chilled, and it wasn't until he saw his jacket back in his closet that he figured out the whole plan and
Wait,
everything. Like,
no, he wasn't chilling. He figured out the plan when the guy was like, they're saying that it's you, and he's
yeah,
like, what do you
yeah, I
mean?
know. But like, so why did he like go home? Like he shouldn't.
That's what I said. That doesn't make any sense. They're just
Yeah,
baggage either way. Sorry to say, but that's
It's
baggage. And if you're worried about you and yourself, why are you going back to get your girl and the kid?
yeah, he should have been like right out of the
yeah,
city at that moment, basically.
Mm,
yeah, and I also add that it didn't make sense that he would never notice that his jacket wasn't stolen until at the last minute. Oh, my jacket is back in my house, and even though it was in his car the last time we saw him. So I was like, okay, he didn't. I guess he completely had other stuff on his mind and didn't realize the jacket was gone until he saw
Yeah,
it back
so
in his closet.
how that was hilarious because it's like how do you like how didn't you realize that it was missing before then? Like, so
Hmm.
you see
Yeah,
it in your closet now, and you're like, obviously he knows that you know something is up because now it's there and it wasn't there before. So like,
yeah.
didn't he think something when he realized it wasn't there before? Like when he realized it was missing? Like that's hilarious. But but yeah, you know, that's pretty much my takeaways. Dana, did you want to say something else real
no,
quick?
I just thought it was really weird that he heard the door in the hallway
Hmm.
close, and then he didn't. He figured it was Raquel to begin with, but the whole
Yeah,
thing with it was funny. It was well done, but it was still funny. And
yeah.
he heard the
Yeah.
door.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like he should have left. Like he shouldn't have gone to the
See,
house.
I thought he wasn't going to go to the house when he heard the door close and realized that someone could have been there. Because remember, he heard the door because that's when Marvin ran out
Mm-hmm.
and the door closed behind him, and he went to go get to open his department door, and he stopped because he heard it. Then I thought, oh, he's going to leave because
Yeah,
things just didn't add up. But no, he went in that apartment and got clothes. And if you have that much money, why do you need clothes? Just grab the money and go.
exactly. Like he doesn't need
Hmm.
to go home. Like just get your like don't even let because he obviously he saw his he saw the woman and the child in the car before they even went inside. He should have just got right in the car and got them out of there straight away.
Yeah,
Like just go out the town until things blow over.
because he did a whole monologue about, oh yeah, it's Raquel, and she said that she was gonna get me when I never saw it coming. Yeah, I remember it
Hmm.
was the bar on Lexington and 28th Street.
Hmm.
It was sunny that day, and I'm just like, just go, find some place to go. Go to
Mm.
Ohio, go to Mexico. I don't know, but yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. So, but Unique is still a great character, and I can't wait to see you know
I don't know.
what's in store for him.
Prison time.
And
Don't bend the soap.
well, I have some things to say about that, but I'll save it for our
Okay.
later segment. But yeah, I'm gonna pass it over to Richard now for his takeaways. So, Rich, what's your takeaways?
Okay, so I would say that some excellent takeaways so far by you two. I agree with a lot of the points that you mentioned about the tension on this episode. I have two main takeaways that I'm going to focus in on. First and foremost, we need to talk about Howard. Uh, Last week, the cliffhanger was that Kanan shoots Howard. And then, of course, everyone is thinking, well, Howard's obviously dead. Now, there was a preview that we saw after this episode when it actually aired on the Stars app, where you saw Howard, being rushed to the, I guess, the operating room in the hospital. And at that point, I figured, okay, so maybe he didn't die. And I recall I made a joke and said, well, Kanan must be a horrible shooter because these were two shots that were relatively close to Howard, and yet Howard still survives. So now I'm glad that they explained that Raquel told him it was supposed to be three shots. The shot to the head clearly would have taken him out. And if you shoot someone in the head, you probably wouldn't have needed to take the other two shots. So I'm glad that was explained. I know the theme of power in the shows is always about the fathers and the sons, and the sons taking out the fathers. We saw it with Tariq taking out Ghost. You saw it when Tommy took out his dad, and now you see it in this show where Kanan tried to take out Howard. So very interesting dynamic. But Howard surviving, and then the cliffhanger at the end I thought was interesting because, as you said, Gary, that is just something that they're going to hang as a plot going into next season to make you wonder, is he going to eventually tell everybody what's happening? Now, what I will suspect is because the Howard character is very stubborn, as we saw this season, he's probably not going to say anything. And his partner, or should I say ex-partner, because she always goes against him, is going to get some answers. And as I alluded to last week, when we saw that we had a discussion about, well, she could potentially go to his doctor who gave him that cancer diagnosis and find out, oh, there was supposed to be a donor and that he has a son. Then I think she'll put two and two together. Yeah, that's Kanan's father, and maybe he has something to do with this. But I'm very curious to see how they progress that, because obviously she has something going on now with Jukebox. Jukebox did warn her about Unique's people to set this whole thing up. But again, to think that they still would not suspect Kanan's involvement in Raquel, that's just, she's going to definitely continue to investigate this further, because now Howard can't stop her. And as Dana alluded to, Howard will probably be out for a couple of episodes next season. I agree with what you said, Gary, that Omar Epps is an excellent actor, so I understand you want to have him on the show a little bit longer. But I definitely think that something has got to give with that whole situation next season, because there's no way that I just can't see him surviving past all of season 2. Something's going to happen one way or another. But I did want to touch on that whole thing with Howard, because I for sure thought the guy was dead. But then when I saw that preview, I'm like, okay, all right. So we'll see what happens. My other main takeaway, and this goes to what you also said, Gary. Raquel is easily the most powerful, strongest, the character on the show that, yes, she's a queen pin. She does all the boss moves. But now you're seeing her as a villain as well. It's just, I think this is excellent, because we had a commenter that left a comment, on one of our previous episodes, making mention that they think Raquel is the best character, the best female character right now, because looking at other characters like Tasha and Monet from the other shows, it just, she's head and shoulders above them in terms of how she commands power, how she's so quick to really let others know she's in charge. And this whole episode, it wasn't just the revelation that she revealed that you saw what her plan was to basically take out Howard and Unique, but it's also the fact that she put Lulu in place, letting him know, oh, I understand you have a dream, but you're using the money that we made doing what we've been doing to gain the success. And as a result of that, I own what you also are investing in. So it's just like trying to, crushing his dreams. And then the fact, and I know that Dana made mention of Symphony. I have to now refer to him as Symphony, because immediately this guy comes out of nowhere after being told off in the last episode. Oh, but I'm still here, because yes, he is whipped. She got him. And I kind of hate that, because a lot of people play games with these relationships and use people when they need them. So I'm curious to see what happens moving forward with that. Obviously, we can make the comment that yes, Raquel still cares about Stephanie to a degree, even though the character did not show that in this episode. She just showed, I'm on a mission and I need to do what I need to do. So this is why I'm going to focus on it. Oh, and I know he'll do what I need him to do. So I'm going to call him and get him involved in this. That's how I felt when I saw that, which makes sense because she's a villain now. So yes, I think that was consistent with what I expected. You was going to say something, Dana?
First of all, love is love, so do not judge him for loving a woman who can't love back. Okay? It is his heart. Second of all, is Raquel a villain or is she determined? Because she stated
I
her whole plans all throughout, and she purposely plotted seeds throughout. But is she a villain by wanting to make sure they have the best of everything in terms of they own everything? Because that was originally their goal in their
Mhm.
first episode when it was having problems with Unique. That's when she put in the plan. So is it a villain or is she a well executed, determined person?
She,
I
I mean, I think the show wants us to believe she's a villain.
She's not a
yeah,
villain.
But
yeah. I would double down on that as well and say she is a villain because even if her own mother said you are your own worst enemy, everything that she's done, it is for her benefit. She can say it's for the family, yes,
Yeah.
but it's
Okay.
for her. It's for her benefit. The whole thing about getting Symphony involved because she knows that she can control Symphony. She has his full undivided attention because he's in love with the woman. Clearly, he will do whatever he can for her, and he's trying to protect and stay, even though she doesn't need protection. But yes, she can use him anytime she needs to use him, and that was proven in this episode. The way she went after Lulu and had that whole conversation, it shows you, yes, I'm in charge of this, and I'm the one that's running the show. And you can think that you're going to get out of this, but you're never going to get out of it because you're using my money to do all this other stuff. So
yeah,
yes, and then of
and
course,
there's
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that there's like for me, there's one moment that really confirms that she is a villain, and that's the
Hmm.
moment where, after who is it, D Wiz, after D Wiz is killed, like Kanan's friend, and Kanan is still kind of grieving over the fact that he died, and Raquel takes Kanan to D Wiz's mom and prays with both of them, knowing that she is
Yep.
the one that had him killed. Like
Hmm.
this confirms that she is a villain because it's like you know
And the other thing is that if all of this season, you look at how she was basically trying to take control of her son Kanan. You did not want him out there selling all this other stuff, but all of a sudden, when you have an opportunity to take out Howard, yes, Kanan, I need you. Let's go over some more shooting practices, and I need you to do this because our family is in danger. Really, I'm in danger, and I need you to take out Howard. So to me, when I think about how last week, if Howard was not there at that hospital, they would have took out Lulu and whoever else was in that room at the time. And the fact that she said, "Well, never mind, you was there to try to save me. I'm still going to take you out." So yes, I think she is a villain. And I definitely would pose that question to the people commenting. Do you think that Raquel is a villain, or as Dana said, a very determined person that wants to make sure that the job is done? So I'm curious to hear what they have to say. But yeah, that was all. Those were my only takeaways. I thought it was a phenomenal episode as always. Excellent finale. And I'm very curious to hear what these questions are that Gary is going to pose to us now. Oh,
oh
go ahead,
yeah,
Dana.
go ahead, Dana.
Remember how we had a conversation when we post the BMF video about how we shouldn't compare black shows to black shows and that it's much larger scope and that you could compare it to shows about the mafia and other shows like that?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, wouldn't this be more comparable to Breaking Bad in the terms of it started out with a teacher who had cancer and his goal was just to make money for his family, and you saw how he ended up becoming he went from Walter White, what was it, to Hyman at the end?
Heisenberg.
Heisenberg. I said
Yep.
Hyman. Jesus is a biscuit. Anyway, he went to Heisenberg at the end. With that said, and we saw kind of the selfish nature that Walter White ended up being. And remember at the end when he admits to his wife, he said, I did it all for me. I
Mm-hmm.
used you as an excuse. That would be comparable to Raquel. Because
So
you would assume everything that she's saying, we did it for the family. I own this, I own that. But in fact, it's all just for her.
yeah,
I do have a comment to make to that, but go ahead, Gary. I'll make my comment after you.
yeah, I'm just trying to grasp it. So basically, what you're saying is that like, so her intentions start out genuine, and she just wants to, take care of her family, make sure her son is good and everything. But then, along the way, she gets carried away, and she becomes progressively more evil and more, self-fulfilling along the way. So is that what you're basically saying?
Because if you look at the first episode, Kanan was never supposed to be involved with this. He was supposed to go to Stuyvesant, right? Remember, they both shared a passion for astrology. Go be an astrologer, I don't know, study science and stars and moons. And when it was the two brothers, and they always kind of just looked out for each other, they were small in terms of what Unique in them was doing. Remember, they're fighting over corners. That's petty, tiny things in the large scope of stuff. And then by executing this plan, which may have started out, oh, it's better for the business and us as a whole. And we saw how Raquel in the end is telling her brother, I own everything. Even what you think you're going to do, you're not going to do, because I own you and that studio as well. And setting up her own son, because using his naivety to set up the son. And everything else that she's done, wouldn't that end up being more of a Heisenberg direction?
Yeah, so I guess somewhat, but go ahead, Rich. Go ahead.
So I just was going to say, in terms of being the selfish character like Heisenberg was, there is some of that comparison there. The reason why I wouldn't say it's a full comparison is because Walter White, from the very beginning of that show, he had a lot of issues. It wasn't just the cancer, the character himself. He had a problem standing up to people. He didn't have confidence, and it took him a while to get to that point. So with Raquel, she's been strong since the show started. And they've had little moments where she's vulnerable, where it's like that whole conversation she had with Symphony, where she says she would have his baby. Stuff like that you see, but for the most part, she's just been a strong character from the very beginning and all about her business. So I would say that's some of the differences between that and Breaking Bad, because with Breaking Bad, Walter White, this guy has completely transformed. His demeanor, how he approaches people, and then the arrogance. And that actually is another thing that I was going to mention, because Raquel does have arrogance in this particular episode, thinking, well, obviously the plan didn't work out, that she wasn't able to take out Howard and she wasn't able to take out both Howard and Unique.
Yeah.
So now, to me, the whole thing is that there is a bit of arrogance, because you have to know there's going to be some backlash. Howard is going to eventually have to address the situation. So do you think that Howard's going to remain quiet forever? Absolutely not. So I'm curious to see what her backup plan was besides getting Kanan out of there. Because there's no way that someone does something and then they're not thinking about the consequences that come after that. And as for Unique, I'm pretty sure that Unique is going to get out of prison, because Joey Badass is an excellent actor. He's been excellent as this character. There's no way this guy is not going to still be a part of this. And to go to what you said earlier, Gary, about you wish that there was some more deaths, when Unique gets out, I fully expect a lot of bodies to drop. There's no way, because you've killed some of his friends this season. Now you got him arrested. When he comes out, it should be the wrath of hell. He should be making sure people are getting dealt with immediately. So I'm curious to see how they're going to handle that, because it shouldn't still be a slow-moving pace after that. When he gets out, body's got to drop immediately. So let's see how that plays out.
I have a lot I want to say regarding Unique, but just to end off the whole Raquel part first, she definitely has a lot of traits to Heisenberg, and I think also a lot of other villainesque characters from other shows. We always go back to The Wire, right? In this dynamic, I kind of see Raquel as like a Stringer Bell type character. I think Marvin would be Avon, because it's like, this is just all he knows kind of thing. He just loves the lifestyle. And I would see Lulu as kind of Cuddy, a Cuddy character. Like, how Cuddy, he leaves the lifestyle and sets up the boxing gym and stuff. I guess he would be, sort of like that character. But yeah, with Raquel, she definitely has a lot of traits of some of the most iconic, villains in different, TV shows and everything. But she's also very unique in her own way, no pun intended. But yeah, yeah, she has a lot of uniqueness about her. So, and that's what I love about the character. And even if, we are saying that, after seeing this, she is now the villain, that's not a bad thing either. I think that's great. It's like her character is very layered, very complicated, and very dark. And I actually really love that. Like, she's now one of my favorite characters.
Right.
So.
My thing was just that I was tired of Black shows being pigeonholed and pinned against other Black shows when you could look at the larger scope of shows and all of this kind of lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean we could say that this is pretty much, in its own lane almost. Like, it doesn't even need to be compared to anything. I think that, like, at the moment this show is like, it's creating its own sort of like lane. Power in general is like, it's kind of separated itself from just being about that. I think, like, it's telling very real stories and so I don't think it needs to be pigeonholed into, that lane specifically. But, people are always going to compare, though. Like, that's just how it's human nature. But but yeah, this show's in a lane of its own, I think. But yeah, we'll get to the question segment now, because there's, we're branching off into a lot of interesting dialogue here, and there's specific questions for it. What was you gonna say though, Dana?
No, I was just saying sorry. I just diverted the whole conversation.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine.
That's fine.
Like, yeah. Like, this is gonna happen because this was a finale episode, and there's just like so much to cover. So it's gonna happen. We're gonna, deviate into things, but just I'm gonna try and structure it a bit more, and just get into like these different discussions that I have here to bring up. So we might as well get to the unique thing, since we already, kind of started discussing this. So Unique is now locked up. And see, a lot of this is dependent on what happens with Howard. But yeah, like, I don't think Unique will be locked up very long. The only question is, what is going to happen when he gets back on the streets? And I have my own theory about that. And I guess I'll let you guys go first before I, give my theory. And maybe, your theories will be the same as mine. So I'm going to go to you first, Dana. Like, what do you think will happen the moment Unique gets back on the streets?
Y'all are really determined to release Unique. I can't see that. I mean, even if you hotshot this whole case, you have the jacket, you have the blood on the jacket, you have the video footage. Now, unless Howard starts doing that whole, it was Kanan, and then drops dead, okay, but that really isn't that much strong of an evidence compared to the jacket, the blood on the jacket, and, him holding the jacket as they arrest him. You can make the argument that because of, what was it? How did it go? Because of, remember the doorman, who, by the way, just needs to be fired at this point. The guy who works, when you're in those rich buildings, they call it concierge. He needs to.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. Like there's no way somebody could let somebody in the lobby that easy. Like, that makes no sense. But I mean, and also he should have at least looked at the paperwork and stuff.
Right. But, I mean, you try to. I don't know exactly where in Queens that apartment is, but it looked bougie. And you have, like I said, concierge, and there was no, here's my fake badge or anything. He just walked in with a suit on and was like, I need to go upstairs. So, okay, but let's just take it at that word. He can easily be a witness. The police can use something and say, well, we'll arrest you for, I don't know, not checking badges or something. And he can easily say, no, it wasn't Unique that was up there. It was the guy, and then give a description of the guy who keeps coming in the building, and see if there's cameras in the building as well, because that place has like money and it's a bit bougie. So you have cameras in the building, and you have the yes.
Wait, so Dana, like, because you're a New Yorker, sorry, and I'm not sure if you'll remember that far back, but like, were cameras like a common thing in the city? Like, was there a lot of surveillance back then in the 90s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wait, in the night, I don't know. I think I was running around maybe like 4 in the 90s. So I really don't know the answers to that, but I'm going to tell you that in those bougie buildings, you're going to have cameras. And remember how she said, check the CCT or whatever you call it, the footage that they have like outside and on the streets. And remember, that's how they was able to frame him by using the camera that was from the grocery store, with Unique walking by. With
yeah, she had a camera, yeah.
She had a camera, but unless you go in there and you're going to do a deep dive investigation, which I don't really see them doing, I think they're going to just be like, look, we got the blood, the jacket, Unique's literally standing there, so we're going to just go and arrest him.
I think a lot of it depends on, the kind of help that Unique is able to get. So maybe he gets some sort of hotshot lawyer,
Well, he has money, though. It's not like he's going to get a roly-poly-oly.
Yeah, like if he's able to access his funds, I think he can get a good lawyer. So
yeah.
Then you have the people on the outside and whether how loyal they are in order to get him outside help. Then you have the girl as well. So yeah, I mean, but if you want to say that he is out officially, if you like that theory, no, he's going to be inflamed. He's going to be enraged. It's not going to be like something, well, that happened, let me go on with my life. He's going to go back and get revenge upon Raquel. So, like I said, it could easily end up being what we saw was like a team. We didn't really even get to see a turf war. It wasn't like really out there. We got like, D-Wiz is dead and little gang, bang, bang, and I'm in the street. But we didn't see the full scope.
Yeah.
That previous episode, all that lead up to what was coming was like, yes, this is exciting. We didn't get that though in the finale.
We didn't. We didn't. We were at argument, like you said. The only person who died was Kanan's innocence. So maybe in next season we're gonna get that turf war thing, and he's gonna really come after her hard. And then maybe theorizing, Kanan goes and has his connections in Maryland, and maybe they can figure a way to hit back at Unique, because at this moment, Kanan doesn't know that his mama set him up. He's still that naive kid. So he doesn't know the full scope of everything. All he does is, he feels a little shaky about killing Howard. Jubak pointed out, this is the life that we chose. We don't have that opportunity to be like other kids. This is our life. And we have to grow up faster than other people have to. So that you could say he asked, he begged his mama, please let me be in his life. So I think that he can form something. We don't know what's fully up there in Maryland, who's up there already. So he makes connections too. And they can also come and try to retaliate against Unique. And it could, not Unique, Unique. So it can actually be some type of turf war that we did not get in the first season that we were kind of alluded to. So give me my blood and guts.
Wait, Dana, I heard a police car. Do you live in that bougie building that Unique is in?
They're arresting you. That's the turf war right now. Let's go.
But you make good points. It could maybe take a while before Unique is out on the streets or wherever. So you make some good points. I still have my theory, but I'm gonna let Rich go and let us know what you think might happen with Unique.
Okay, let me start and say that Dana made some good points. The reason why I think that it may not go down that way, it's all in the plan. Raquel had an excellent plan to take out both of these targets at the same time. Where the backfire is that you left Howard alive. And I instantly think back to episode 2 of Raising Kanan, when Unique and Howard had that conversation, and he was telling him, and Unique is telling him, yes, Raquel is getting too involved in all this other stuff. And you got to remember what Howard said. he says, if it comes down between you and Raquel, I will always choose you. So I'm pretty sure Howard will confirm Unique didn't shoot him, and he may help him get out of prison a lot sooner than people think. And that will set the tone where they will both him and Unique will go after Raquel. Because now that she has done something that has made her test Howard. And Howard kept teasing all along, if you don't let me see my son, talk to my son, I'm going to have to retaliate and do something to you. So now I expect that to happen now, because Howard has survived the gunshot. He knows Kanan shot him. Even if he may not tell his detective or his ex-partner this information, he could definitely confirm Unique. He had nothing to do with what I did, but he's going to see, oh, she set up Unique the same way she set me up. So this, I think, would help Unique's chances of getting out, because they can ask Howard, did Unique shoot you? He tells them no, then that's it. They have no evidence other than the jacket, but they say you have the person that actually got shot saying no, he didn't do it. That's why I said I'm curious to see, but I don't think this guy is going to be in it that long, because Howard is still alive. Now, if they decided to end the season and Howard was still in critical condition, he was still unconscious, then you can say, okay, this will prolong things a lot longer. But the fact that he wakes up at the end of the episode, I think that kind of accelerates how involved he can be in responding to what's happening. I don't think he's going to actually tell them Kanan did it. But when they ask him, did Unique do it? He will say no, and then that's it. Unique is out. So let's see how they handle that situation. But to answer what you said, Gary, about what's going to happen when Unique gets out, yes, there will be retaliation. I'm not sure how he's going to retaliate, but there's going to be some retaliation. And another point that I will add is that in regards to his street soldiers, I feel as though they will remain loyal as long as they have money. If they don't have any money coming in, they're going to definitely be out there doing what they need to do. And Laurel, obviously, since they didn't kill that character off, he probably is going to be the one to really be in charge of that, if it was to come to that. Because this guy, I feel like this is a character that they should have been taken out by now. After what happened with him and Lulu, there's no way that this guy should still be alive. So the fact that he is still alive, he can serve the purpose of trying to help the others make sure that they have money continuously coming in, because they still got to make money. You know, Unique is running the show, but he has all these people he has to keep paid. So there's no way that they're going to be able to lay low for long. But again, we'll see how long he's in prison, because as long as he's in there, this stuff has to happen, because they have to keep making money. But they can take this in so many different directions. But I would say the safest bet in my mind is that because of what Raquel did, now she will have Unique and Howard after her next season. And I'm curious to see how this is going to play out, because, again, Howard is still alive, Unique is still alive. So that means they have an opportunity to retaliate whenever they get a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, you pretty much said a lot of, what I was going to say. But I think what will happen, I do think, like you said, that Howard will protect Unique. Like, he's going to say that, it wasn't Unique. I also think that, he's going to protect Kanan. He's not going to say it was Kanan, because, he's going to want to, find Kanan himself, I think. But what I think will happen is, Unique, there might be like an episode or two where he's in prison and he has to, deal with that whole thing. But he's going to get out fairly quickly, I think, next season. And so what I think is going to happen with his crew is, I think Raquel is going to step to his crew and maybe acquire their services, because now she's going to have a stronghold over, everything in the streets. She's got the new Connect, the new product. So I think that, she is going to make an offer that they can't refuse. And, they might align themselves with Raquel. So then when Unique gets out, he might not have a crew to go to. And Raquel, because these guys know Unique so well, he's going to be an easy target for them, if they turn on him. So I think he's gonna have to go away and bide his time a little, and maybe like find a new crew. I think he's gonna go on like a little mission of his own in the next season, where he kind of finds his footing again and builds up his his crew and his reputation little by little, and until he's at a point where and maybe depending on what happens in the season, I'm sure there'll be a point where Raquel is maybe weakened a little, or something some kind of turmoil happens in her crew, and then they'll find themselves on equal footing again, and then the war will continue. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think it won't be straight action right away. Once Unique gets out, I think he's going to find himself at a huge disadvantage, and he's going to have to build his way up again. So that's what I think is going to.
I just want to make a comment and say, Gary, yes, that is a very excellent point I didn't think of, because Raquel can come to them and say, hey, I'm going to give you an offer that you can't refuse. Because again, they're not getting money now that Unique is going to be away in prison. So they still got to keep money. So they still got to be making money. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. So yeah, very good observation, sir.
Yeah, but there is also the Dean character, so I don't know if one of the other crew is in contact with him or whatever, but I think that I think that is part of Raquel's plan to kind of absorb his crew. That's what I think.
Yeah, and then she can have a meetup once again with him. He's expecting Unique to show up, and then it's her instead. Oh, yeah, so you thought you were going to kick me out. Well, now you need me to keep making money. You need me. You need my services. So, yeah, because again, that makes sense that would happen for sure. So, excellent observation.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see. Please do chime in on that, in the comments. Let us know what you guys think. Also, Dana, did you have something you wanted to add before we move on?
No, I just forgot how vicious them streets are. There's no loyalty.
Yeah,
With that theory, jeez. It's like the second he goes in prison, he's gonna be like, wow, hey, what's up, Raquel? Hey, girl, what you doing? No, I don't know. I like that theory, but I just wonder, is there a second in command? Like what happens to everything that Unique? Because remember, he made a point in saying that he's the one who goes out there and protects the cops, because if the cop dies, it looks bad on him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to know, does he have any cops on the inside who he can call up for help with this whole situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty much Howard. Like Howard
would be the only one. So if you have Howard doesn't say anything and actually say that it was Kanan in order to get Raquel, I don't know. The thing is that I don't see Howard living long. Yeah. And I feel that the second Raquel finds out he's still alive, they're going to try to do what they tried to do with, what was it, Marvin, Lulu, one of the brothers, and go into the hospital. Go into the hospital and do that.
I think that's going to be impossible with the amount of cops.
Yeah,
but
is it possible for me to throw out? I just throw out a quick wild theory. Yeah. Is it possible this new captain in charge is actually corrupt, and one of the cops that's actually working with Unique? Is that a possibility? Because I find it very interesting that they just introduced this character at the end of the season, like, oh, all of a sudden, let's throw in this other guy who was now in charge. He got the other guy that was in charge. He told him, no, you can step away for a while.
But he's giving the girl so much freedom. That's the only thing. He's not shutting it down. He's giving the cop girl a freedom, and now the new partner is Garcia. Who is Garcia, and what does he play into this whole situation?
Yeah, I don't know who that guy is. That's just a random guy. They said, we need you to play.
Even he was like, you want me to go? Who that? So, is he on someone's payroll as well? I don't know him. I don't trust him.
Yeah. I just find it interesting how they introduced their character at the very end of the season. And it's like, he's going to play a role, I think, moving forward. But obviously, there's probably some more things we'll find out about him.
He was telling all the business when he came in. Hi, I'm Captain
Yep.
Louis. He has cancer. If that one has cancer, he's going to die over there. I'm like, oh. Okay.
Yep. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, I got distracted. What I lost the trailer for what I was saying before. What do you remember, Rich?
No, well, you were just talking about what could possibly happen with these characters. You did hear what I had mentioned, though, right? You heard what I mentioned right before.
I missed some of it because I was answering something.
No, I just said I was throwing out a wild theory that what if that captain is one of the people on Unique's payroll? The new captain they introduced in this episode, because I thought that was interesting that they introduced somebody new all of a sudden. The other guy is out of the job and this guy is taking over.
We don't know where he's at. Where is the other captain?
Yeah.
That could be a very nice twist, actually, if you know, if that cop is has some sort of secret like that, or like he's in Unique's pocket or something. Like I think that could be a nice twist for sure.
I just don't trust the girl. I think the girl is just going to be too nosy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What you mean, Howard's partner?
Howard's partner is going to be way too nosy, and now with this newfound information about, because they emphasize he has no family, and he emphasized on the blood type. You can easily say it's just a casual conversation, but she seems like the type of person who, like, you say something a week ago, and she's still thinking about it. So,
we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. There's many interesting ways this can go. But so let me see, what other questions do I have here? So we pretty much talked about Howard already. I guess just quickly, so are we all in agreement that we think Howard is going to protect Kanan? So okay, go ahead, Dana. What do you think Howard is going to say?
Look, at the end of the day, Raquel tried to kill him and sent the son to kill him. I don't know about you. I would be pretty salty if someone tried to kill me.
But do you think he's going to want the cops to bust Kanan?
No, because his goal is going to get after Raquel. And while you could say that, oh, here's this boy, the thing is, I think to actually get Raquel more would be to actually get Raquel. We saw how she's willing to use people, and I'm not saying she doesn't love her son. What I'm saying is, it seems that she's a person who truly, if you have to bring harm to her, is to go after her. So I see this being, if Howard lives, which again, I don't know, half a spleen, liver, you got cancer. It seems, and he has blood loss, because remember, they can't find the AB. So it seems that Howard go after Raquel more. And you could say, no, it wasn't him. It was I don't know, Billy Bob on the street. He could
He could say it was Raquel.
Or he can say, I don't know. And then use that as a plot in his head to start thinking of ways to get back at Raquel.
Yeah, I do think he'll say he doesn't know who it was, just to stall out, the whole situation, and then he can make his own moves.
Right.
I think that's what he's...
That seems more better for him.
I agree with those points, and I also would say that I do think he is going to stall that response. He also does not know that Kanan is not there now. This guy is out in Maryland. Yeah. That may be why he stalls it. But once he finds out that Kanan is gone, he'll go right after Raquel with no hesitation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true, because he doesn't know that, Kanan is out of town now. So yeah, that was one of the questions, but we've already kind of, we kind of discussed that a lot. So let's move on to okay, we'll get to this. So Kanan, we know, is on his way to Maryland. And I'm gonna say some theories here, but I don't know for sure if what I'm saying is going to be the truth, and I want the commenters, the community, to chime in a little bit, and correct me if I'm wrong. But from my memory, I believe that in the original Power, after Kanan fights Ghost for the first time and Ghost burns him, and then, he comes back alive like a Marvel villain. And then, in the in the next season, we see him with Jukebox. I believe they were in Maryland when that happened. But like when, I believe he went to Jukebox and visited her in Maryland. And, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong on that. So I say that to say this, Kanan is going to Maryland, and I can totally see him spending some time there, in the next season, and sort of, learning a few things. Maybe he learns, to become a better dealer and everything like that in Maryland. And, maybe he establishes some sort of life there and meets some people, and maybe Jukebox even comes to visit him at some point, and then they build some sort of connections out in Maryland. So that's a little theory I have. And yeah, so I guess this question is really, do you think we're going to see some of Kanan's life in Maryland, in season 2? And do you have any thoughts about, what his journey might be, while he's there and everything? So, Richard, I'm going to go to you first. What do you think of that?
That's a very good question. I think a lot of that, I think, is a wild card because you're not really sure how it's going to play out. I kind of feel like, again, it's a situation where you're going to a new place thinking that you can escape everything that's happened in life previously, but eventually it catches up to you because your family is still heavily involved in this. Now, the question that I would say is, I'm not sure if my assumption is that he's going to visit his grandparents and stay with them. I know that there was a rumor that came out a while ago that 50 Cent was actually going to be playing his grandfather, and that is probably who you'll see if he was to ever go back there. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but my guess
That
is
would
that
be hilarious. Like,
it would be hilarious. But I heard that a long time ago that's how he was going to put himself on this show. I don't know if that's accurate. So again, commenters, don't shoot me because this is not no confirmed information. This is just the stuff that I've heard. But what I will say is, it's going to be, if I had to make a guess, it's going to be a situation where he goes there, tries to basically have a normal life, staying around with family that is there, and again, still being called back into the game. And there could be some people already in Maryland that are already starting an operation or already have an operation going on that he somehow gets involved in as well. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. I'm also curious, how long is he going to stay there? Is this going to be something where he stays there the whole duration of the next season? Or if it's only for half of the season and then the other half as like a mid-season, finale or whatever, that's when you see him coming back. So it's a lot. It can go in many different directions. But my guess is that, once again, he's going to try to escape that life. But again, he's going to get pulled right back in because all his family is involved in this stuff. And there's no way that he's not. And of course, we know that he's very intelligent. He's always able to think about how to do things in this drug game from a business standpoint. So even if he was to try and get away from it, he's going to still have ideas on how to do this because this is what he's been taught. His mom has supported him in this. So, yeah, we'll see how it pans out. But obviously, he can go there and lay low, but I don't think he's going to be there for long. And yes, we're going to probably see a little bit of him trying to adjust to life there, but I don't think he's going to be there for too long.
Yeah, and if assuming he is going to be in Baltimore or something, which is in Maryland, we know that there's a big drug economy there as well. So I do think it will be a chance for him to learn more because we saw him making a lot of mistakes in this season when he tried to do certain things. So maybe like this will be where he really learns. And sometimes you learn things better when you're learning it from someone other than your parents. So maybe, it will be a case of this where he learns to become a better, drug dealer. away from his mother's influence. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, that could be something. But what do you think, Dana? Do you think we're gonna see his life in Maryland? You're muted.
I think we are, and I think Maryland is going to become a large staple in his life, and not only just his life, but also with jukebox. My whole situation, I can't figure out. I can't pinpoint it. But remember when the adult Kanan was burnt and his guts was hanging out, and he was a hot mess, and he returned to go to his cousin, and she kind of helped him. I don't know what state that was in, and I don't know if that was Maryland. Um, but I do feel like he will make that kind of his second home, and that'll also it will bring jukebox there with him. If you've kind of seen, they support each other. I'm not going to say inseparable, but they always seem to come back to each other at this point. And I think that they really need each other. And when not Raquel, when child jukebox is able to tell the full story, because I think she has the full breadth and understanding of what Raquel was really able to do by using Kanan, and the whole setup with the jacket and the plan, because she knows everything. That's why when we saw her, she hasn't returned home in days after getting assaulted by her father. So you have that coupled with other things. She needs a place to go as well. So I do think that they're going to end up going and finding each other, and she's going to stay up there with him. And I do feel that she's the one who's going to be the catalyst to tell what really happens and what's really going on with his mother. And that because of that, Kanan may not want to return home right away. I mean, it's not just the fact that your mom killed D Wiz. Your mom set you up to kill Howard. Now, Unique doesn't know the actual relationship between Howard and Kanan, but I think this is something that's eventually going to happen, whether it's through Howard himself or it's through someone else. Because everyone, it was weird how you remember how it was originally, I forgot the man's name, who was originally the father, and how they kind of worked. DEFCON, thank you. I just feel that if Howard can do the math, so can other people. And I don't know who's in Maryland. I don't know if it's grandma. I don't know if it's cousin Pookie and them. I don't know if it's Sophia. I don't know if it's, you know what I mean? I don't know who's in Maryland who is able to also talk to him as well. So I really feel that he's going to eventually find out, especially with Unique, because Unique is with Jukebox, and she's extremely smart, and she's able to put things together. So he's going to want to create whatever it is that he has going, whether it is with the business side of the drug dealing, or actually, I don't see him being a corner boy, but build up whatever kind of reputation that he had in New York, because we've seen what he was able to do in New York. That's not something that he wants to get rid of. He had that spark and that glimmer from the very first season when he was, shooting with his mom, and we saw how happy he was. So I really think that this is something he wants to continue. No matter he can move to Timbuktu, he still wants to do this. So I believe that is what's going to happen. I honestly lost control of what was the original question.
Just whether you think we'll see his life play out in.
Yeah, well, I think like I said, it's going to be a large part of his life. I think that is where he comes back. It's a place where he establishes himself. It's a place probably where he'll feel the most secure. He's going to be very angry at his mom, so he's not going to return there until we get that big showdown. I still think that he kills her, because remember, he never mentions his mom as an adult, right? We don't know anything about his past. We don't know anything, especially someone like Mom. We see Tommy's mom all the time, and we see Ghost's mom all the time. Where's Kanan's mom? Because he killed her. Which also, another thing, is why he's so easy to kill Sean. So you killed your mom, I'm going to go kill my kid. So, yeah, he builds a life that he's able to have. And he and Jukebox come together and build their lives there, which is why he's comfortable with coming back. Not to say that it actually is Maryland where she lives, because I don't know. They're really scarce of details. But it is a place where he comes to later on when he's all fiery and his guts are hanging out. Because it ends up kind of being his second home. Rant over.
Yeah. And I think, he'll get recruited by Avon Barksdale while he's out there. So
I was going to make the connection too. I'm like, Omar is going to come and like scoop him up and teach him.
But yeah, there's many possibilities, especially if we are correct about, Maryland being the place where Kanan went to in the original Power. I think there's many possibilities of, where this trip could lead in the future. So very interesting. But so I guess the next question I'll ask is so how do you think that Raquel is going to react, once she learns that Howard is indeed alive? Now, I rewatched parts of this, and I kind of wondered if she already knows. Like, does she already suspect that he's alive? Because it seemed like she was kind of doubting Kanan a little bit, like, or whether he really, killed him. So she might already know. She might already like have an inkling that he's still alive. But once it's confirmed that he is still alive and everything, how do you think she's going to react? Because this is obviously a big threat to her and Kanan, because she's the one who sent, she's the one that gave the order for this to happen. And Howard will know right away that it was her. Like, because Kanan wouldn't just come on his own to do that. So he'll know that the order came from Raquel. So what's going to be her next move once she learns that, Howard is alive and talking, So I'll go to you first, Dana. What do you think?
It's always me. I like sneeze in the corner. It's like,
it
you
was
go.
Richard last time.
I think that, the streets need a body. And either way, I'm just intent on killing Howard. I do think that the only way to tie up all these loose ends is to kill Howard. And eventually, if you have to just pretend to be a nurse and fidget around with his medication and give him some, I don't know, some morphine overdose, maybe that might be it. But with this, just pretend that she doesn't kill him and he's not already dead after he doesn't say anything, because he could easily just like die after opening his eyes. I think that this could, Howard is a threat either way, and I think that this makes him an even bigger threat than before, like, give me your bone marrow. So I think that he has to die. I just don't see him living in any kind of situation. It's hard to think of, even if he's like in protective custody and everything else. She has to figure out a way to, because remember, she has cops on her side, because that's, main thing number one. She explained that to Kanan. So I don't think Howard is just the end all be all from like that one cop on your side.
Yeah, I understand why you think that Howard has to die. Like I kind of feel that way too. I think he has to go eventually, because it's like, how far can it go if he's always the roadblock? Because at some point she's going to get caught. She's going to, she has to get caught by him. So yeah, I think, his time might be limited. He might, still stick around for maybe a few episodes or up until the mid-season or something of season 2. But yeah, I think at some point, he has to go, or there has to be some kind of significant change here, because he can't. There's only so long he can protect Kanan, and only so long he can, let Raquel, just walk around freely after she's done all this. So yeah, I don't think he'll last long, but we see that he is awake. And the question is, can he talk? Because we don't even know if he can talk at this moment. Like he might not be able to talk at all. He might have amnesia. We don't know, So I guess it's just a case of finding out. But just in the interest of entertainment and fun and theorizing, Rich, what do you think about this? What do you think is going to happen when Raquel finds out that he is alive?
Well, that is the interesting question because she had to have a backup plan. Obviously, getting Kanan out of there was, because of all the attention that the shooting drew with the cops involved, that made sense to do. But also, I do feel as though she doubted that he pulled it off correctly because of how fast she was and how adamant she was he needed to get out of there. So I would hope that she had a backup plan in the event that Howard did go down. What I guess is going to happen next is that she herself, not going to be the one to try and kill him yet, but she can obviously ask Lulu or Marvin to step in. Marvin obviously has other things going on now, so maybe not Marvin, but Lulu, again, because they made it a point to emphasize in this episode, as they have all season, she has control of her brothers, and she tells them, hey, you need my money, right? So you're going to do what I tell you to do when I tell you to do it. So she can obviously definitely tell Lulu, I need you to finish what was started. And you saw how Lulu had an issue with the fact that Howard was the one that was shot. So that kind of makes me curious if he knows more about her relationship with him in the past, which I guess we'll find out next season. But I would make a guess is that she's going to obviously have one of her brothers try to finish what Kanan started. And then if that isn't successful, then she herself would try to take some action. But yeah, her goal, I feel, is to make sure that Howard does not survive. But the thing is that by the time she finds out, it might be too late because he may have played a role in making sure that Unique is freed of the charges that are against him right now. So it just depends the timing on all of this. But if I had to make a guess, she's again going to have to try to retaliate once again and do whatever she can to make sure that Howard doesn't speak by taking him out before he has a chance to really say anything of value to the police.
Yeah. I think. I think it's probably a huge risk right now to take another hit at him. So they're going to have to wait for some things to blow over because Howard is going to be very well guarded and protected. But I do think, Raquel has something else up her sleeve that we just can't see yet. And, maybe it's impossible for us to see it because we don't have the clues. But I think she has something else in motion to kind of sidestep this situation. What's up, Dana? Scrappy? What do you think she's going to send him?
Remember they had that nice little conversation and Scrap was like almost in tears because Kanan praised him? Mm-hmm. He was like, you're doing a good job. And he was like genuinely like, oh my God, thank you. Right? And he was praising Kanan in return. I think that was the little confidence ego boost that he knows that he's appreciated, at least by one of the Starks. So she can use him in some way.
Yeah, I mean,
I just don't know. Because of the way how you looked at it, it's too late to actually go out and kill him. The whole hospital is covered in cops right now, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And his whole room is like a whole bunch of units just in there saying, what's the answer? We're waiting. So, yeah.
Can I just make a comment? I don't mean to, and this probably be something, I don't want to people to laugh too hardly when I say this, but I find it very interesting how Scrappy learned how to drive so fast with one eye. I mean, he was driving. It's like he never went down with the eye injury, able to drive and see. And Marvin had that joke with him about making fun of the fact that he only had one eye also. So if he is going to go after Howard, he needs to be very precise that he can see and shoot at the same time. I just want to make that comment. But continue.
He might not be able to see the police officer standing in the corner of the room when he tries to kill Howard.
That's why I say he has to be very careful.
Jeez, cold-blooded. Yeah. So I don't know. After that, yeah. So basically, if Howard does say anything, I wonder if it's too late to retaliate, at least against him. Because wouldn't that make it more suspicious? And I know I'm contradicting myself, but wouldn't it make it more suspicious that if you have the guy who framed and said that it was actually, I don't know, Raquel who did it, and then a couple days later he's dead? Wouldn't that bring more suspicion upon Raquel?
hmm
I don't know. I'm theorizing.
See,
Uh, oh,
if Raquel was a true kingpin mastermind, just like Unique, she would have a police that's also in her pocket that
mhm.
could take him out while he's in the hospital. But
Right.
again,
Right.
don't know yet. Well, go ahead. What'd you say?
No, and then that's what I'm to say. Also, all he did was open his eyes. Maybe he can wake up dead, in the sense that we've seen it before. The person wakes up and then they like have a heart attack or they go into a seizure and then they die. So who's to say that whomever was to be that backup to make sure that Howard is dead didn't already slip in and wasn't already one of the cops that swarmed the police unit? We saw cops literally tripping over themselves trying to get into the building. Remember, they parked the car. It wasn't even parked. Here's the car, and the guy's like running, and hat fell down, and he's tumbling. So with all of that, who's to say that, you're a police officer, you just don't go in there and just like stick something in the IV and call it a day? That's all the cops waiting to get in to the hospital.
Well, Rich said something interesting. He said, maybe she could have another police person on the inside or something. She already kind of does in an indirect way. So we know that Howard's partner or ex-partner is in contact with Jukebox. They have some sort of friendship or rapport between them, right? So Raquel can easily get into Jukebox's ear and just basically ask her to get information about Howard's condition. And what could happen is maybe the police people are told that Howard only has a few days to live now because of complications with his his illness or whatever, and then maybe that's relayed to Jukebox through his ex-partner, and Jukebox tells Raquel, and then maybe with that information she knows that she only has to wait things out a little bit and just hide away until he passes away or something like that. Like maybe could be a situation like that happens, because I don't think she's going to make a direct hit. It's just going to be too risky. I mean, maybe like one of you said, maybe they could do something with the medication. If they can get someone on the inside, like a care worker or something. But I think it's still super risky to attempt anything again. So
and I also think that they might not go that route completely, since they did that in the previous episode with Unique's guys dressed up as dressed up as the people in the hospital. So they may not do that, but they absolutely have to think of some way to get to Howard to make sure he's no longer a threat.
Yeah.
Well, it goes to show you how bad security is just in general. I mean, he gave him like $10,000, and that like in the parking lot they're making transactions. That's how Howard got him.
Corruption reigns, like.
Just don't be so sloppy about it.
Yeah, but many interesting theories. I do want the people to chime in here and let us know what you think about that. So just one final question. And basically it was, will Raquel allow Lulu to live his life in peace and become this music mogul that he's trying to be? Because we saw in this episode, they had that discussion. He said what he wanted to do. He wants to go his own way. He wants to get out the game. And then, Raquel obviously said, no, I won't let you do that. And, you use the drug money to purchase, to buy into the business. So we own it, basically, So she's pretty adamant in not letting him do his own thing. So what do you foresee happening with Lulu's situation in season 2? So I will go to you first, Rich. What do you think?
To answer the question, no, Raquel will not let him focus on his music stuff, and it's also his actions also will determine this, because again, you've made it clear to Unique and Warrell that you are involved. So even if Raquel was to let him do whatever he wants to do, the fact that he tried to kill Warrell, that's still sitting with that guy. When he has an opportunity to get to Lulu, he will. And that's why I said, you're already in too deep into the game. The fact that these other people, you had to meet with Unique, you told him where you stood at. So that's why I say he was disrespectful of what he said to him and Warrell. So even if he wants to get out, if he so happens to be somewhere with Jessica, Warrell rolls up to try to take him out and instead takes out Jessica, that's it. You're in it. You have to deal with this guy. That's why I thought it was very curious that they still had this Warrell character still alive going into season 2, because clearly the beef between him and Lulu is not over. And when he has the opportunity to go after Lulu, he will. So it still puts Lulu in danger regardless, even if he was to step away from all of this. So, I don't think he's ever going to get out. If it is, it's going to end in tragedy regardless, because he's already in too deep into all of this. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And what about you, Dana? What do you foresee happening with Lulu's situation?
Yeah, everything that Richard said is kind of rings true. So I think that he has a bigger threat than Raquel right now. I mean, he can try to think that he's going to break free, and he may even temporarily be able to do that, but I don't think that it's going to be a long withstanding at all. But at least his girl is loyal.
Yeah.
Well, now we know that.
Now we know that.
I will say this: if he wants to do this music thing, he needs to get out of New York, go somewhere else. Because as long as he stays in that area where you know that there's tension, there's no way you will ever have any freedom or peace. So as long as he stays where he's at, I think he's going to still do this music stuff. There's no way that that's going to happen. So I'll be curious to see how they tell that story next season.
BMF crossover. He goes over there with him.
Oh yeah.
Well, New York is the mecca of hip hop, so they got all the connections there. So,
Yep.
unless he goes to ATL and hooks up with Jermaine Dupri or something, I don't know. But
no, that can't happen. No.
yeah. But yeah, I think for Lulu, I do think we're gonna see more of him. Like, I think he will progress a little bit with his music career, but then what's gonna happen is he's gonna get brought back into the life, just like you guys said. And it's either gonna come from Warrell, trying to settle his score, or I think Raquel is going to constantly guilt trip him for not looking out for the family, because there's always gonna be some sort of complication. And, she can use that to guilt him and say that you're turning your back on the family, the people who love you and grew up with you and everything like that. So, I think he's not going to be able to escape the life. And I think that's going to cause some tension between him and Jessica and probably Famous too. So yeah, I think that's what we have in store. But I am interested to see how far they take this whole music angle, because we know the 90s was a significant period in hip hop, so I really can't wait to see, how far they push that theme of him being in music. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Speaking of music, I wanted to, big up Stars for the choice of music in this as well. Because they played that, when Raquel was kind of like looking at the city and everything, they played that, was it Little Boy Blues, I think, Seed of Love, I think that's the name of the song. And of course, Jay-Z used that sample as well for PSA. So that's a very iconic song right there. And I think it was a great choice to, for that moment where we see her as like the villain. So yeah, great choice.
Yeah,
What's
I
that
agree.
face for, Dana?
She's not the villain.
She lived long enough to see herself become the villain. So yeah, we lost Richard here. I'm not sure what happened. I'm sure he'll be back. But before we sign off, we had some short news stories to get to real quick. And basically, now that we're at the finale, none of this is going to really be spoilery, because we've reached the end of the season, so we know who survived and everything. And welcome back, Rich. We're getting into the news, the short news segment now, and we just wanted to show some of the new characters that have been cast in season 2, just so we get an idea of what to kind of expect a little bit. The first actress that has been cast already for season 2 of Raising Kanan is this actress right here, Latoya Luckett. And apparently she will play Jukebox's mother and Marvin's ex. So, that's her on screen right here if you're watching on YouTube. So, yeah, we're going to get some tension clearly between, Jukebox's mother and Marvin, I think. And then also there'll be some sort of relationship, I'm guessing, between her and Jukebox. And Dana, you mentioned that Jukebox hasn't gone back home yet since the altercation with her father. So maybe she actually ends up going to the mother or something, or she calls her
Right.
or something like that. So yeah, that's a new character right there. Any thoughts about what we could possibly see with this character? Any thoughts, Rich or Dana?
In terms of telling her mother everything that happened, I don't think she's going to do that because she already was, you would say, scorned by the first person that she told, which was her, well, not told technically, but found out, which was her father, not first, but like in the first group, it would be her father, and how that turned out to be very volatile. So I don't think that she's going to tell her mother everything that happened, and she's going to probably just say,
About what you mean, like about her
being,
sexuality?
yeah.
Okay.
I don't think she's going to tell the full story of everything, but more of, I need to leave. I want to come stay with you. Because if you saw her, since that whole altercation, she's just been bouncing around in the streets looking very despondent about everything. Carrying around the backpack, which was still the clothes that she wore from that night when she thought she was going to go to that prom Katerian thing. Remember, the guy kept saying, "Why are you dressed? Why do you have men's clothes?"
Yeah.
And then the girl was like, just leave it alone. It's fine. So I think it was from.
Those were Kanan's clothes, right? Did she give
Those
those
were
to
Kanan
Kanan?
clothes.
I can't remember. I think she might. I think she said something about it when she visited Kanan in the that place in the bodega.
Oh, those were. Oh, that's right. Okay. Well, then that knocks that theory. But still, I don't think she's going to tell her mother everything about what really went down. And I think that could cause more tension between that character and Marvin. Um, I don't know how Marvin is going to tell everything towards his ex-woman, baby mama. So I think it's going to cause more tension. We don't know why they broke up. We don't know why Jukebox is living with her father and not, say, supposed her mother. So that is going to bring a whole lot of questions and a whole lot of dynamic that could be explosive. Maybe she got away
Yeah.
because she knows that Marvin was dealing drugs. But then why would you send your child there? Maybe
I
she
forgot
herself.
to also mention that it says in the description that she's a church is a big part of her life. So I guess that gives her some perspective here, and she's obviously going to be against everything that's been going on, and she might even be very against the sexuality thing also,
Well,
depending
yeah.
how hardcore of a Christian she is. So
But then it just goes to, I wonder why she would leave her daughter to go live with Marvin if it's a lifestyle she doesn't agree with. Unless she kicked her daughter out for partaking in that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raises a lot of questions, but Rich, do you have any thoughts real quick?
Yeah, I like LaToya Luckett being cast on the show. So I'm looking forward to that. If I had to make any guesses, well, in terms of Jukebox, I do believe that we saw at the end of this episode she was staying at, Kanan's place. You know that for the majority of this season, she's been building a closer bond with Raquel, so I'm sure Raquel will be okay with her staying over there. Eventually, she probably will try to help her amend the relationship between her and Marvin. But for the most part, the mother, I think, is going to play a role is just trying to be there and give advice. And it's good to see her coming into this because now you'll get a deeper perspective as to you only saw Marvin as one of the parents. You'll get a deeper chance to see what her mother brings to the table. And while it does say her mother is heavily involved in the church, I kind of think you would see her struggle with some of the stuff that she had to deal with also prior to getting saved or getting involved with the church, because a lot of people are in church, but they still deal with their own demons and stuff outside the church. So I think
That's
you're going
true.
to still see some of the stuff that she is dealing with as well. And the other thing that I think about is when Marvin and Jukebox had the showdown, he said, this is some of the stuff that your mom was into, which tells me that maybe the mom also experimented with these type of relationships as well at some point in her life. So I kind of feel like a lot of those questions are going to be answered, but for the most part, I think it was a good decision to bring her into this because it gives you a deeper perspective as to where Jukebox came from as a character, what her parents were like, and you'll probably get an idea of why that relationship didn't work out and how it impacts her negatively up to this point, everything that's happened to her. So I'm looking forward to it, and we'll see what she brings to the table next season.
Yep, indeed. So the next character here is Omar Dorsey, and he's gonna play someone called Cartier Duns Farid. And it says, he's charismatic and overflowing with confidence, but it also says he has a vision for business expanding into less crowded markets like DC and Baltimore, and even into, other types of businesses like music and art. So very interesting that, they mentioned DC and Baltimore here, where we know Kanan's going to Maryland. So that kind of plays into what we were saying earlier, where we might see Kanan spend some time, in the show in Maryland. So yeah, very interesting there. Not much else to say. We don't like this character is straight out of left field. We don't know where the connection lies at all. So I don't know if you guys have any theories on that one. But if you do, then throw it in real quick.
The only theory that I would add is that, I believe this is the character that will be working with Kanan. Kanan may learn some information from him. And, after Kanan has learned as much as he has needed to learn, he could very easily turn on this character and take him out. I mean, it all depends if they want to go down that path. But obviously, as you alluded to, Gary, they mentioned Baltimore, they mentioned DC, Maryland, etc. I think this guy definitely is going to be someone that Kanan comes across and tries to get in business with, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So the next character here is the actress is called Crystal Joy Brown, and she's going to play Renee Timmons, and she's going to be Marvin's anger management therapist. So that says a lot about what Marvin might be getting up to in the next season. I guess the anger management, maybe he's gonna need that because of what happened with Jukebox, and how he acted in that situation. I guess he might need it, and we know that he's currently in jail. So I'm not sure who's going to actually assign him to anger management, but I'm thinking maybe Howard's partner. Maybe she'll be the one to actually do that because she saw that Jukebox was harmed in some way. She saw the injuries, right? So she might put two and two together, and she might be the one that actually sends him there. So yeah. And yeah, I'm wondering what that dynamic will be between Marvin and his therapist. You got any thoughts on that, Rich?
Yeah, I'll just make this comment. We've alluded to the fact that this is a very attractive woman playing a therapist. So obviously she will help Marvin to deal with the anger. But obviously this is Power. This is a show about violence, drugs, sex, etc. So I could easily see this is someone that Marvin will be hooking up with next season. I'm not saying that that's going to happen or that needs to happen, but I kind of feel like they're going to definitely play around with that to an extent because they want people to watch. You want to make the therapist have an important role on the show, so she very well could have a relationship with Howard as well. I didn't see anything mentioned about a husband she has, etc. So we'll see what happens. But yes. Pretty sure that that's something that she will also be doing on the show, besides giving the assistance of what he needs to do to better his relationship with the people around him.
Yeah, and we let's be real here. We know that the sex scenes are a big part of Power. It's like the signature thing of Power. They're gonna show you someone naked or two people naked, and they're gonna do it a lot. So we have some very attractive people here, so I'm pretty sure there's going to be some stuff going on sexually in this next season. So yeah, I think there will be some of that stuff going on possibly. And the next actress here, I'm not sure where Dana went, but I'm sure she'll be back. But yeah, the next actress here is Paulina Singer. And she is going to play a character named Zisa. It says she is a beautiful up-and-coming singer looking to make a name for herself with Lou and Crown's label. So, this further confirms that, Lulu is going to focus a lot more on his music career. And, he's going to be working with some new talent, it seems. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. I think to see him develop a new artist and everything from scratch. So that's going to be cool to see. I think. Any thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, no, I agree. That it feels like that's what the role is going to be for her coming into the fold. We'll see what happens with that particular dynamic. It kind of feels like Lulu might have some issues with Crown at some point. Because Crown was so surprised and caught off guard when he presented that contract to him. So I'm curious to see how that relationship develops and if that causes tension with the actual business side of things. But yeah, it's good to show that he will still be trying to pursue this music stuff, but will it be successful? We'll have to wait and see because Raquel will always be there in the shadows to remind him, yes, you're good, but
Whoa, what happened here? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, I hear you now.
Sorry about that. We received a phone call, so it's a little bit of a issue.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, I just said, there's going to be. We'll see how that relationship continues because obviously it's tension. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the news we had to share. Some new actors and actresses that are going to be in the next season of Raising Kanan. Already confirmed. And we know now that no one of significance died in story so far. So they'll all be returning real soon. So yeah, that's pretty much it for our news segment. Was there anything else at all you wanted to bring up, Rich, before we end this off?
No, I just wanted to say, well, first and foremost, for those that are wondering, I believe Dana had some computer issues. She said she was going to try to jump back in, but
Okay.
yeah, but I just want to say, I very much enjoyed this season of Raising Kanan. I thought the show exceeded my expectations for a Power show. I definitely want to thank Stars for giving us the opportunity to cover the show. We look forward to covering the other upcoming Power shows. Obviously, Power Book 2 starts November 21st, so we'll definitely be back for that. But yeah, no, it's been a great experience. And of course, the engagement. I appreciate everybody that left a comment, a like, any interaction you've had with our content. We greatly appreciate that. Whether you listen on Spotify, iTunes, or you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate all the support. And feel free to let us know your thoughts on some of the things that we discussed for the finale, your own thoughts as to what you think is going to happen in season 2. And yeah, we definitely look forward to having more of these shows in the future.
Oh yeah, for sure. And yeah, I just want to give a big shout outs to, Stars and the whole Power team and, 50 and Courtney Kemp and everyone involved in this, because this has been a great season, very enjoyable to watch and recap. And it's got me excited for, the future of the Power universe, even the next season of Book 2 and also Force and everything. Like I'm looking forward to all of it now. And this season has got me like very well hyped for it. So yeah, big shouts to the Stars team, and thank you for the access to the show also, so that we could keep creating this content. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. And also, there is a premiere of BMF happening this same weekend, and we have some content for that, or that's going to be up as well, where we will be basically reviewing that show. That video that we're putting out isn't going to have spoilers, so it's safe to watch, whether you've seen the episode or not that airs. But we will cover that show in some way. It might not be the same way that we cover Power, but we are going to cover that show to some degree in the coming weeks, so look out for that. And yes, it's been very fun, covering Raising Kanan, and I definitely want to give a big shout out to everyone who's been listening, everyone who's been commenting. I know our listenership has, gone up on the audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, and I think people are even using other audio services to listen to the audio version. So big shouts to all of those people who listen but might not necessarily comment. We appreciate all of you. And, we appreciate everyone who does comment also and watch on YouTube and stuff like that. So, of course, this has been a long episode. We told you it was going to be long. This is a finale. So there was a lot of ground to cover in a finale. Like, so the final episode is always going to be longer. But yeah, that's pretty much it from us for now. And, of course, we will be back to cover Power Book 2. Season 2, which is going to come back in it's November, right? It returns, I think.
Yeah, November 21st, right before Thanksgiving.
Right. So yeah, we will return to cover that. So, if you're listening to this, or it's going to be on the same audio feed and the same YouTube channel. So if you are going to be watching that show, look out for us. We will be back, with the Powercast to recap that show. And that's pretty much it from us. Dana, didn't make it back, but I'm sure she, same thing from her. I'm sure she has the same sentiments. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to Stars.